Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid. I'm Tony Nass, and like we said, it's kind of gray outside, but depending on your perspective, it's a beautiful day. The fact that we're here, it's beautiful. All right, let's quickly go through a couple of things that's happening. When it comes to U.S.-Cuba relations and whatever plans President-elect Joe Biden has for that relation, it just got a little more difficult because just this past Monday, the U.S. State Department announced it was designating Cuba a state sponsor of terrorism. And that is a move that reverses a decision that was made some 5 years ago by the Obama-Biden administration when they tried to cool off tensions and create a relationship between the two countries. Now, this decision takes us back to the 1982 decision that Ronald Reagan made, which designate Cuba as such. So why is that being done now? It's your guess. It's as good as mine. So that's that. However, it is expected that Biden administration will actually roll it back. So we will see. Speaking of U.S. politics, by the end of today, Donald John Trump could be the first U.S. president to be impeached twice. As we speak, that debate is ongoing in the House, and so who knows what would happen by the end of today. Coming home to the Caribbean, there's a discussion that's heating up throughout the region. Started some time ago, but it is coming to the fore again. I listened to a interview from one Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell. I think it was towards the end of last week. Many of you know Dr. Keith Mitchell. Good man. I like the guy. He was Prime Minister of Grenada from 1995 to 2008. So he did 3 terms back then. And then he left the scene. He came back in 2013 and again was elected. And in 2018, a second time on his second return. So now he is in his 5th term as Prime Minister of Grenada. Now, why am I talking about Keith Mitchell? Because of what I heard and what is being said. Now, during the 2018 election, during the campaign for the 2018 general election, Mitchell, who is at the helm of the New National Party, the NNP, he indicated during that campaign that he will not contest another general election. However, in that interview that I referenced a minute ago, we are now sitting at about 2 years before elections are constitutionally due in Grenada again. So, in an interview recently, he was asked about that. And what he said was, quote, and I'm quoting here, "A decision has been made. I would have preferred not to have, but there are rationales based on my own colleagues, based on their views and the general perceptions that the right time will have to be after the next election to hand over the reins to someone. So it looks likely, highly likely, that I will certainly run unless I have some health issues or physical problem." That was Mitchell in an interview just last week. So therefore, he has changed his mind, whatever the rationale is, about running again. And if he does, that would, and is successful, that would make him, or put him in a 6th term as Prime Minister of Grenada. Remember in the last election, he took all 15 seats. Maybe that's a consideration. Even though one of those candidates crossed the floor since and have gone and become the leader of the opposition. Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, just for your information, will be 75 this year. So he's still batting and still intends to run, even though he said he wouldn't. He had a changes of heart, whatever his team has said to him. So the discussion came up in Grenada, and it is a discussion that is familiar because throughout other parts of the region it is so, and it is about term limits. Now in the US, for example, there is a 22nd Amendment which takes care of that, which says that a person serving cannot serve as president. He can only serve 2 terms, 2 4-year terms. We don't have such in the region. So the debate has now started or continued in different parts of the regions about whether there should be term limits for prime ministers. Well, let me from the onset say, and let me make it clear, that I am not one who generally supports term limits. Right? If the political party itself wants to impose that on its candidates, that's fine. But as far as a constitutional matter, I do not support that. For me, I'll let the politicians of good character and decency know when it's time to pass the torch and when to exit. Further, let's understand that under our system, we do not directly vote for prime minister like we do for our representatives. Our constitution says that the PM is the one who commands the majority support from among those that we directly elect to the parliament. So this debate over term limit arises from the view that longevity in office leads to abuse and to the suppression of challengers, both within political parties specifically and political system more generally. Partly responsible for this is that increasingly election campaigns tend to highlight the party leader as if he or she is running for office independently of the political party. But while I would acknowledge that the appeal of a leader of a political party could be a deciding factor in whether a party wins an election or not, that leader's election alone is or does not deliver a government or the prime ministership. And like I pointed out before, the parties and their representatives must win the majority of electoral areas or constituencies in order for the party leader to become prime minister and to form a government. Further, if the majority of members of parliament from the governing and opposition parties express through a vote of no confidence in prime ministers, then he or she cannot remain in office. There would be 2 options left for that prime minister. Either he or she would resign, hand over to another elected representative who now commands the majority, or they can dissolve parliament and go back to the polls. Now, notwithstanding my comment earlier about no direct vote for the PM, we must acknowledge a third way in which prime ministers could be removed from office, and this is by the will of the people at the general election. Right? Yes, even though you don't vote for them directly, if the majority of the electorate do not support the political party in office and their policies and choose another party, then effectively the term of the prime minister comes to an end. Right? So that's another way of changing that. And so I kind of defer to the electorate to make that decision as far as the prime minister is concerned and term limits in general. Given these various ways in which holder of office of PM can be removed, I ask the question, is there really a need to impose term limits in the Constitution? I don't know. Some people support it, but I don't know if the terms of the office of those who have served as Prime Minister under the system we have here in the Caribbean, which came out of the UK, has shown that very few Prime Ministers have been allowed to serve beyond 3 terms. In the most notable case in the UK, for example, Margaret Thatcher, she was forced to resign 3 years into her 3rd term. And Tony Blair was eased out 2 years into his 3rd term. So only strong and popular leaders of Caribbean political parties have managed to retain conclusive leadership of their parties for more than 2 terms. And case in point, Mitchell, as we just spoke of, down in Grenada. In the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves is in his 5th term. By the way, he is also making 75 this year. So, he's popular. People want him. He stayed. Term limits have been set by the electorate simply by voting out the unpopular parties and their leaders, and the best safeguard against that kind of abuse of office by prime ministers or the will of the people is at the general election, for me. And the good sense also of the holder of the office, who should resolve to remain legitimately in it only for as long as it is clear that the people wants them. That's my take. You may have a different take, but like I said, that's something that popped up in the news there just a couple of days ago, where Keith Mitchell has reversed himself, and so the discussion comes up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and come back, and you can, after the break, we get to hear your thoughts. You can challenge me on that. Directly vote for the PM, but you have an opportunity to support the policies of a particular representative who is a part of a particular party. And so if you have or if you're at odds with that, then you can make the decision to go in a different direction. And so by going in a different direction, you would in effect change the prime minister, right? So, and to go a little deeper into part of my reasoning, and this is for general term limits, not necessarily for what we're talking about here. I honestly believe that it takes away a certain fundamental right of the people to make a decision. Now, I know all the arguments about corruption set in and all of that, but then if it sets in, then you do the right thing using your vote. So I don't know that if I limit you to 2 terms, then you won't be corrupt. Because if you're corrupt after 1 term, I should remove you anyway. The electorate should remove you anyway. If you are good at what you do, and I want to keep you because you're doing what you said you would do, keeping your promises, you're looking after the constituents, you're representing them well, then I should have a right to have you serve me again. Imagine I as a member of constituency number 3, decides that I have a representative who is doing well. What if there was term limits for that representative? Right? You see, just the general term limits. If there was term limits for that representative, I have no choice when it comes to keeping somebody that's doing well, which I think is, for me, is unfair to the electorate. So, but anyway, you may have a different position. Let's go and hear what you have to say. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Brother Nayak.
Good morning, sir.
I don't feel like we're going to get much call today, because a lot of people ain't going to current, and some people use the radio to listen.
How about reason?
Yeah, you understand? Anyway, Brother Nayak, nothing wrong with a leader in government for long, as long as they're doing good for the people of this country. Any country. Because what happened that sometimes they change leaders, and you bring in the next leader, and that leader turn out to be disgraced. You understand? I mean, if you in a political party, and the people of the political party see that you reign for long and they want to challenge you, just like in the Labour Party right now. You understand? Dr. Douglas just lose twice. He done serve 20, I mean, 4 term in office, 4 term in office. You understand? And from the 4 term in office, he don't lose twice. You understand? Well, he only tried to step down as the leader of the party. Well, I have a problem with that. You understand? Because he don't lose twice. But with Keith Mitchell's situation, if the people want him, they want him. And if the party want him, they want him.
But you have to say the same thing. You have to say the same thing about Douglas too. If the party want him, you know, I mean, you have to say this. You have to be consistent there, right?
No, listen me. No,
yeah, go ahead.
Listen me. But look, he putting the party in disgrace.
Okay.
Keep me telling not putting his party in a disgrace. He don't lose. That's what I'm trying to tell you now. Maybe the party and so on, the majority of people and so on, you know.
Okay.
Is the constituency as he want him. You understand? The constituency vote for him. But maybe the everybody in the constituency, in the federation. Because if you move from the constituency then, say going number 1 or number 2 or number 4. And he run in number 1 unless somebody is running number 6. You understand? And he lose. Well, you can see that directly the people ain't want him to be the leader. And the country, neither the party. You understand? It's just a one-way thing, because the people at number 6 want him, and when election time comes, they're going to vote for him. Look at it. So I must end up get 1 seat. You understand? So I don't see nothing wrong if you got a leader, and the leader doing well for the people. You understand? If he want to make up his mind to step down, he step down. You understand? But he left to the party, and he left to the people of the country. All right then.
Okay. Well, I also believe that, as I said before, if the party or the political grouping decides that that person should be the leader, that's an internal matter. So if they end up winning an election, they made that decision. Internally, they could decide that they may not want a person to run more than twice for leadership. So let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Gavian Queen and Zinga. Blessed them, my beloved African brother. How are you and your family of SKN?
Doing well.
Brother, listen, I am totally against anyone running for more than 2 terms as Prime Minister, and you ain't supposed to run no more than 5 terms as a representative, beloved brother. Keith Mitchell, Ralph Gonzalez, etc. Even in the St. Kitts and Nevis, I will not support Dr. Harris to to be Prime Minister for no more than 2 terms. It's time. I know Dr. Harris, listen, when it comes to fiscal management, but there's a genius, but he got more geniuses there. Sean, Brother Mark Bradley, and other young people. Step us. I ain't got no problem with Dr. Harris run one more time as a representative for constituency 7. Beloved, no problem whatsoever, and then he just exit the scene. Do something else. He can be advisor whatsoever. I mean, he's still in the 50s and so, but no man, these people believe. You see, that's why we need constitutional reform, and it should be enshrined in the Constitution. And those things, beloved brother, if you need anything like that, you go to the people. And it got to be 2/3, whether for or against, man. Come on. These guys believe that and the African continent too, and other places that, that these lands was willed to them by who? No, man. Our ancestors fought for these lands. And no one man, no one woman supposed to run to be Prime Minister or President for no more than 2 terms, beloved. And as a representative, no more than 25 years. You go and do something else, man. And anybody, let me put them on notice now. I ain't threatening nobody or anything like that, brother. Anybody who support Dr. Harris to be Prime Minister more than 2 terms, I will fight against.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like I said, he left to the people. That's why, but you will fight against me, but I support to talk to him to the Prime Minister. Very good job.
Okay.
Excellent job he doing. So I move him up.
Okay.
I give him an A+. Bye.
All right. Thank you for your input. Let's go back and talk
Good morning, Mr. Nair.
Good morning, sir.
This is Walford Atherton here. Mr. Nair, I was hearing you speaking about being the Prime Minister. The Governor General can choose the Prime Minister without he being elected by anyone?
I didn't know that. Tell me about that.
You didn't know that?
No, tell me about that.
If there is a problem in the country,
okay.
where there is an uprising,
right,
the Governor General, in his knowledge or in his due interest, can choose a Prime Minister that is not elected.
Okay.
Also, the members, the Prime Minister, never been chosen because he is elected. He is chosen because a number of elected representatives choose him. The party put him up, and if the party wins, there's a number of elected representatives will choose him.
The majority.
Yes, the majority.
Right.
Now, I hear everybody saying that Denzel Douglas must step down from being Prime Minister, from being the leader of the Labour Party. Sorry. The Labour Party, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, didn't elect Denzel Douglas as the leader of the Labour Party. Is one person nominate Denzel Douglas to be the leader of the Labour Party, and up to today where I am sitting and speaking to you, there wasn't a second, there wasn't a third, there wasn't a fourth. Nobody endorsed him but the one that nominated him.
Anybody object?
No, and nobody object.
Okay.
What happened is that the convention broke up. So Denzel never ever did get in the party leadership because the party accepted.
When was this?
Go ahead.
When did this happen?
89.
Oh,
89 convention, it happened in Massey's house.
But there have been subsequent conventions, right?
Yes.
Since then, right?
Since then after that, they accept his nomination.
Okay.
But when he took over the Labour Party leadership, is that Fitzroy Bryant Limo resigned, and because he was the only one that name came up in the convention, he automatically becomes the leader of the Labour Party.
Okay.
So I do not understand why all of a sudden everybody telling them to step down. The Labour Party ain't got no money, you know. It's one of the brokest party in the Caribbean is the Labour Party in St. Kitts. They has no money.
Okay.
If Douglas don't carry the party, don't go away. Everything just will collapse. So let Douglas alone until Douglas' time is up. He got a long time to go still. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you as well for your input. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Mann.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, like you, I believe in term. Well, I don't believe in term limits actually, for they are essentially anti-democratic because they deprive the people of their choice in leadership. But I do understand why they are sometimes necessary. Right? It is important to have renewal and a reset, and let fresh people with fresh ideas and policies bubble to the top.
But wouldn't good leaders know when that is time, though? If you're a good leader,
A good leader?
wouldn't you?
No, I don't agree with you. That
leadership doesn't leadership doesn't leadership know when to bring in succession or groom people?
But again, right? You're taking it out of the hands of the people. If he decides to put himself up for leadership, the people can accept or reject. Right? That's what I'm saying, right? We have to be consistent, as you would say. Right? You can't at one point say that you don't believe in term limits, but then at the same time say that the leader.
But personally, I have a right not to. But personally, I have a right not to go up for election, right? Even if you want me, I have a right not to do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
A right to do it or not to do it.
Right.
Right. In the final analysis, it should be left up to the people. But the thing is, if you were a well-informed, well-educated electorate, I don't think term limits would be necessary, because we can be assured that the people would make the correct decisions based on the issues of the day. But can we really say that about the electorate in the Caribbean? Right? I think we in the Caribbean are more inclined to the cult of the personality, right? Like you, we like you. If we don't like you, we don't like you. Okay? And that affection can change on a dime. Okay? And examples abound. Even here locally, where people who should be nowhere near public office get elected anyway. So we really can't depend on the electorate to do the right thing and get rid of corrupt people, for instance, right? Especially since corrupt leaders tend to corrupt the electorate anyway, right? The corruption that's how corruption is. It's corrosive to society, right? And so the thing though about the Mitchell decision is that it appears that he has reneged on a promise to leave. And that brings other issues into play, like trustworthiness. All right? Anytime you have a politician of all people, not keeping his promise, you're asking for trouble. Okay? And so, and the same would apply here, right? I mean, there's all this talk about 2 terms for the Prime Minister. Okay? If I think I've heard the Prime Minister say he just wants 2 terms and then he get on with his life. To change that now is gonna bring other issues, I think, to the fore, right? So that's my view on it.
Okay.
Leave it to the people, generally speaking. But if you make a promise, you should keep a promise.
Okay.
That's how I look at it.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
all who want to jump down the Prime Minister back, but he shouldn't run a 3 term. You look about the Prime Minister back. The Prime Minister have not write nothing in a carving stone. Any
Oh, lost that caller. Let's take the next one.
Yes, Brother Nyas. Brother
Yes.
Nyas. Walford, I think Walford comes. Where he get that thing? I would like him to say with that in the Constitution, because as far as I know, beloved, that you have to be an elected representative to become the Prime Minister. I mean, while elected by majority of the peers, and with the thing, the GG. So I don't know where he get that from. Even the Minister of Finance, beloved, the substantive minister must be an elected member. You could get a junior minister appointed, but the substantive minister must be elected. I don't know where he get that from. I would like him to call back and say where in the Constitution that is.
We'll look into that.
Yes, okay, brother. Continue to listen, man.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Thank you for your input. Back to the phones. Good morning.
Yeah, but the noise again, morning again.
Yes, sir.
No, what happened that I want to ask first, well, for that time, that if all the years Douglas in the party, nobody never challenged him for leadership when they got convention. Nobody ever challenged him, because it seemed to me like that he put there, what do you want to use again?
I don't know. I think somebody nominated him.
No, he nominate, and from since he nominate, nobody challenged him from that time until now. I mean, that's the way, and he saw again that the Labour Party ain't gonna money Labour Party books, and you could see that the situation, that is the situation right now, because sometimes when these men settle along in government for you, they strengthen and fatten themselves and do all kind of things there. And then they take the government like the government in the personal business, and that is so bad and wrong. You understand? So I believe that's why Dr. Denzil Douglas is still as the leader of the Labour Party, because nobody is there to challenge him. The party ain't got the money, and nobody gonna take the money and invest the money and think that the party gonna win and get back the money. And I think that if it's so, I believe that the people really should revamp the Labour Party and come over upon the unity. Because as far as I'm concerned, that is not a party. If you got a party, a one-man choice, a one-man rule. What's so much it is? The one man don't lose 2 elections. You understand? He served 20 years. And he got still there as the leader of the party. That means something really, really, really wrong. And County Walford, the people should leave him. We should leave him. We should leave him. We should leave him. Okay, look, then, brother Nurse.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Good morning, caller. Okay. All right. That caller. We'll take the next one. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, interesting discussion. A couple of things. One, when persons come with certain things from the Constitution, it would be good if you had the Constitution with you or had somebody ask them to read it out.
Yes.
Because even here in paragraph 52, it says, whenever the Governor General has occasion to appoint a Prime Minister, shall appoint a representative, and that will be somebody who was elected, appears to him likely to command the support majority of the representatives. That's what it says here.
That's right.
I don't know that he could just pick somebody out of the air and think, not according to this Constitution.
Neither do I, but I was waiting.
I think that is written here anyway.
I was waiting for that later on. We'll deal with that, but I don't see that anywhere. But
yes, that is one.
Yes.
So sometimes, one has to kind of, as I say, fact check some of these things. But one thing I would say, though, and this is also in relation to what we are seeing happen in the U.S., there was a very interesting commentator on one of the international TV stations speaking about democracy, and that even though you have the structures, and that is what is helping the U.S. right now, it's structures, but it's more than the structures, the character of the leadership. Because no matter what structures you have, if you do not have people with integrity, operating with integrity, it can break down. Right. So the same thing here in St. Kitts. And I must say, and this is no not casting any aspersion. But I do think Prime Minister Douglas should have called when you had the tabling, or I don't know if it was actually tabled, but was put forward, the vote of no confidence, the constitution, the tradition, the normal practice, whatever terminology is, you must have it tabled and voted on. So keeping it back or enabling whoever the speaker is to keep it back was not a good idea. And I think this is, you have to sort of follow the tradition. Then you can do exactly what this thing says. If this thing, you can call elections or you can do what have you. But try to help the Constitution unroll, if that's the word, or roll out as the integrity and...
was put up as Prime Minister after they had some problem.
Was he elected before the emergency?
He wasn't elected.
Was he elected before the emergency?
He was elected before? No.
Okay.
And he went on and to call an election and won the Prime Ministership then. But let whoever wants to contradict me say that I don't know what I'm saying. Check that same constitution that lady read, because she only read one portion. If there is a problem in the country,
yes,
an uprising, the Governor General can appoint someone to run the country as Prime Minister if there is an uprising.
And where would he pick that person from? Where would that person come from? Where is he picking that person from? From just the general public? From just the general public?
It can come out of the upper class people. It can come from the government. You know that the government that we call government is not the government. Do the people of St. Kitts Nevis know that every time they vote and they think they vote for a government, they only vote for a person to oversee the government?
To administer.
That's right. Government never changes.
Never changes, right.
Government starts from the colonialist days, come up to Southwell, and then from Southwell back to Bradshaw, and from Bradshaw up to Southwell again, and from Southwell to Limor, and from Limor to Kennedy Simmons, and from Kennedy Simmons to Denzil Douglas, and from Denzil Douglas now to Timothy Harris. They are only overseers of the government. Government does not change. So let them check it out good and they will find out.
Okay, we will do.
Thank you. I will listen again, and whenever they attack, I come back.
We will do. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Nayaz.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm listening to the program.
Uh-huh.
I'm not too clear. I don't know if somebody else can call in and clarify it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Mr. Atherton is saying, right?
Right.
He said the Governor General can appoint a Prime Minister.
Right.
Isn't it? I think he leave out a part there. I think that part says once you can command the majority of the elected members, isn't that so?
That's in the Constitution, correct.
But I didn't hear you mention that part. You have to make sure you can, you get the support of you understand, the elected members. Once the Governor General get that from that particular individual.
He seemed to be talking about, he mentioned uprising, as if he's talking about some...
Oh, like you have a state of emergency?
State of emergency or something. But even in that case, I know there's something in the Constitution which speaks to, even if the House is dissolved and there's a state of emergency, he can call back into session or reappoint the Prime Minister or something to that effect. Like I said, I still have to dig into it afterwards, and we will dig into it and come back to this subject. But he mentioned uprising, and I don't know if that stands either. But just appointing somebody from the general public, I don't know how that works. But I will look at what he's talking about and see.
Yeah, because I need to be, I need to be educated more on that.
Hey, that's right. I mean,
I need to be educated.
But that's what it's about here. So he raised it. We might be educated by it eventually, but I'll definitely try to see where I can.
And I think he said something about if there's anywhere in the Caribbean, if we ever what was it he said?
He mentioned if there's anywhere in the Caribbean where a person was appointed prime minister that wasn't elected. I think he mentioned something about Dominica or something to that effect. But anyway.
Oh, that was not a point. That was not elected.
I don't know.
Well, I suppose it depends on. I suppose it depends on the constitution of the country of itself.
Right. We're dealing with our constitution. I don't know.
Yeah, because he mentioned the Caribbean. So it depends. It depends on how that country, how the thing is structured.
Right.
You understand? Because in Guyana, you vote for a president, and then they appoint a prime minister.
Right.
You see, that is why I said how it depends on the structure of, whatever country in the Caribbean.
But he has certainly raised an issue, so it gives us a chance to research. So
yeah, all right, man. Yeah. Good, very good program. I'm listening. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, I would like to get into the program.
You're on the program. You're live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Hello?
Could you turn your equipment down for us?
Yes.
You're live. Go ahead.
There's a problem with repetition. We don't know that we are the government. Who we select and elect is only heads of government. And until petition learn that, there will be no solution to our problem. We got to learn that we are the government. We select and elect people to be heads of government to run the country for us, so that we could be beneficiaries.
Got that.
And until petition learn that, any country learn that the body of the people is the government. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. Because I learned this in school at a very tender age. And I just can't understand how people just go about, even heads of government go about and tell people the government this and the government that. What they do for us is because we put them there to do it for us as heads. And until we pound that in our youth's head, they are not going to know. We're going to always travel to travesty and all kind of corruption until we know, our youths know that they are who they are. Because if the body of the country come up against anyone and decide they don't want him there because of certain things, they have to go. The majority rules. Now, for instance, if many of us want Timothy to be a third, because you don't leg a board in hand, which I learned in school at a tender age for a board, for 3-4 boards in the bush. You don't do that. You see progress. Good intention in this man. You just got to keep him there until somebody has proved the point. Because talking about this boy who live out of St. Kitts and was minister, and draw some more with them, and I support this cause of people, and I want him to bring it to the forefront, and he will get the two-thirds majority in St. Kitts to be a third prime minister. And I'm asking him not to go back to this formation of asking for 2 terms. We need help, and if they step out of there, things gonna turn again. I better believe that. And Douglas have to go, should go. He had enough. I will suffer enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your input. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Noyes. I'm glad to get in.
Yes.
Because Mr. Atherton made some kind of comment, right? And we like to kind of educate him or enlighten him. At one point in time, the French and the British were in control over St. Kitts. The French and the British was fighting, and had turns running St. Kitts. Then eventually, it was like in St. Martin, we have the Dutch and the French. Then eventually, at the end of it, the British beat the French, and then we became English. That is when they had change of government. That is what caused government to change. When the next country come and take over. If you understand what I'm speaking of. So Mr. Atherton, I believe you should know that. Because it's very critical. Something to do with the Battle of Trafalgar, if I'm correct. With what's his name again, by Horatio Nelson and all of that there. That was when change of government. If you could recall, Bastille is a French word. That's how we come by the name Bastille. You should know that too. You should know that too. Mr. Walford should have known that also. Anyway, if you want to rebut, it's up to him. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, Brother Nias. Brother Nias, everyone knows that government is continuous. Different administration. Government is continuous. Different administration. And to Brother Atherton, we were talking specifically about St. Kitts Nevis, not no Guyana, no Dominica. We were talking specifically about St. Kitts Nevis. Everybody know government is continuous. Administration, you got different administration. Those who are, administered, who look over the affairs of the country. Everybody knows that, and the person who says, "Oh, quote unquote petitions and division," and come on, that's utter nonsense. The most intelligent people, some of the most intelligent people on this planet, African people who were born in St. Kitts Nevis, bar none. So, we must stop this foolishness and, stop belittling our people, man. Come on, those are just backward thinking. So, brother, continue to listen. But, brother, next time when you come on Friday, I want you to check out the thing for the Constitution and let it out, beloved. Brother, thanks again, man. Great topic, beloved.
Will do. All right, thank you. All right, back to the phones. Good morning.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Let me start this way. According to the Western Gregorian calendar, it's a brand new year, 2021. I want to say best wishes to everyone throughout, this saying there with the government. Me quite, but, we have to question it, because it's levels, we have to just strive for the highest levels, And point was made before, say, them is just reps in terms of who is really the government. And that reminds me, every time we pass by the Governor General place, up at ZIZ, we see mark on the gate, Government House. And, we say, what? That means, if we say, them few reps, it's just, figureheads, and we is the government, we the people is government. That is a level, but level look on the other level say that who represent Her Majesty, the Queen, the colonial masters, is them claiming to be government because big and broad upon the gate, as I said before, by the Governor General residence up there, it mark Government House. Just like how we know down Church Street as government headquarters, Government House. So it shows it just exposes the thing differently. It shows well that neither them who don't a government house, now we is the government. It's a serious situation. We wanted to start sharing for the 2021 with personal matters. But selflessness is good, so we give thanks to know, so we start this way. But we want to, we keep speaking about polite violence. since the lulling of the gun shooting. We see it start up again. And we know it would have start up again. Not showing no goat mouth, but we knew it would start up again because the polite violence has always been there.
Okay, caller, we gotta wrap it up.
Thanks for the time. Blessed love.
All right, and that's gonna do it. Thank you all for your input on this topic today. Another edition of Frank and Candid is in the books. My name is Tony Nass, and remember tomorrow PM press conference coming to you at 10 o'clock. So we won't be here. I'll see you back here on Friday. We'll talk some more. All right. Have a good day.